Welcome to Life Mastery Radio with Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey, the show that dives into the science of higher consciousness with inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. Join Todd, Jackie, and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. It's all right here with stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Now, here's your hosts, Todd and Jackie.
Hey, it's another groovy day, and most of you know that's because I make it that way. When I start my day, I decide it's going to be a groovy day, take off into my day, and it 9 times out of 10, 99.9 times out of 10, it turns out to be a groovy day. Now, something might happen, something might change, but I always just think back. I started out with the groovy day. I can change this around. I might have to stop and just let things be for a little while, go walk around the block. Usually things just work out. Not usually, always things just work out. Welcome to Life Mastery Radio, the talk show that brings you great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. As always, I have my co-host riding shotgun. Are you riding shotgun, Jackie?
I guess so. I'm not sure exactly what that term means, but I guess it goes back to the Old West.
Goes back to stagecoach, right? Stagecoach, there was a guy riding shotgun. He had a shotgun and he protected, made sure that the robbers didn't get him. So I guess you're riding shotgun. We'll have to figure out another term.
Well, yeah, I've shot a gun a few times and I actually frighten myself because I like it.
Well, we might have to go. Never mind. We're not going to go there. How are things at the Speak Feed Lead project?
Really well done. We are zooming right along. We've got some classes starting for some kids next week. We started some classes last week. So zooming along. It's fun to see these kids grow and see them kind of have those aha moments all the time.
No.
We've got several groups now that we've been with for, 2-3 years. And so they're doing amazing things and it's really fun. And I wanted to say this past weekend, I went to the retreat that Natalie Ekabo, she was a recent guest of ours. She's actually been on the show twice.
Yep.
I went to her retreat. You missed it. It was so awesome. She is an amazing host. And what a wonderful guided meditator person. I don't know what you call someone like that, but she guided us through some amazing meditations, visualizing wonderful things individually and as a group. Yeah. And then I was having a little bit of a rough day yesterday, and I spent about 30 minutes with her on the phone one-on-one. And again, she just uplifted me. So she's wonderful. You got to check her out if you haven't already.
Jack, you just blow me away because you are just on top of it. You're doing a lot of things, and I got to think back. These are things probably 10 years ago you would have just walked the other way, right? Am I right?
Well, everything happens for a reason, and I am certain that I would not be where I am and doing what I am today had there not been challenges that forced me to look at different paths. Yeah. Different things that I could do.
It works.
Otherwise, yeah, you're right. It probably wouldn't, because of my past abuse as a child, I never felt like I could connect with kids. And so, some people were going into being counselors, and some people were going into leading groups and being mentors to kids during that time. And I was healing, and it just didn't feel comfortable to me. And then when that question came, hey, could you come teach some kids a public speaking course? I went, yeah, okay, I can do that. And that was the first step into forming a nonprofit and helping kids around the world with their confidence level. So it is quite amazing.
For those that are listening, Jackie does some amazing work with kids. And if you can just imagine a kid opening up and speaking from their heart about what's important to them. I couldn't even imagine doing that as a kid, nor would I have the insight to be able to do that, because as a kid, I can surely say I was just walking around in reactionary mode, right? I just this happened. Oh, this is what I do. This happened. This is what I do. And da, 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 da. And today, I mean, Jackie is training the future president of the United States. I know that for sure.
Yeah, it's fun. It is delightful. It's challenging too. I'm seeing that right now, and I'm learning this from other coaches who work with kids, is that it is challenging to get kids motivated to do something right now.
There
And I
has to
think
be a reward, right? There's got to be.
well, I don't know if it has to be a reward. I think that the pandemic gave them, some of them a year, some of them a year and a half, some of them 2 years of just sort of, you know, going around doing what they had to do, but not really reaching beyond anything like that. And I think it's done a little bit of disservice
Well,
to them because it's hard to get them back into this mode of, I want to be something. I want to be successful at this. I aspire to be something. I'm not hearing that from them right now. So
yeah.
it's
Well, like
worrisome.
you said before, everything happens for a reason. And I think that the pandemic was a huge wake-up call. And there's a thing called entropy where things have to get kind of shaken up, but when they blossom back out of that, they're well organized, and because of the lessons learned, there's lessons learned, and there's
Right.
huge direction. So that's kind of my belief. But
Yeah.
more news,
But they're all going to be okay. We're all going to be okay, right?
more news at 11 on that one. I'm sure we'll figure that out soon. I want to remind our listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net or .com, whichever one you prefer. Type it in, it'll take you there. Any links that we talk about today, the link to our guest, a little brief description of the show is right there. And while you're there, check out Jackie's book, check out my book. The links are there to Amazon, 6 Keys to Life Mastery, and you can see Jackie's book back there, Self-Centered Leadership.
Right here. There we go. There's my original book. I do have 2 more out, but I have copies of the latest one yet. So
he's just on the move. You want to see somebody go, watch Jackie go. See Jackie go. Go, Jackie, go. While you're on the website too, you can sign up for the newsletter. Jackie creates a newsletter every week, and it highlights who's been on the show, who's coming on the show, and a blog post about the most recent show. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to review that. And sometimes I scratch my head. Where was I during this conversation? How did she get that from that? But it's all good. It works. Okay, I think we've swept that little room and highlighted the website, and I believe, Jackie, this is your guest. So guess what? You get the introduction.
He is. I'm delighted to have Joel with us today because he is a prosperity coach who helps others to overcome obstacles standing in the way of their financial freedom. In 2021, Joel published Infinite Love and Money with Molly Singh. And then in 2019, he had published the 9 money rules millionaires use, only the unconventional ones. Sorry, I'm trying to read and look at them at the same time, which was a bestseller in both self-help and personal finance. Joel is an award-winning speaker and has led over 20 workshops teaching the concepts of how to overcome limiting beliefs. In 2012, Joel achieved a decades-long dream, which with the launch of his own hedge fund called Salarmor Capital, which is named after his daughters Lauren and Morgan. I probably didn't pronounce that very well. I'm sorry. But we are delighted to have someone not only to talk about money in a financial sense, but also limiting beliefs on a spiritual level. So he's a little bit non-conforming in that whole financial field. And we're lucky to have him here today. Welcome, Joel.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I appreciate you. It's a real honor to be here today. So thank you, Todd, Jackie, for having me.
Yeah, we're inspired. It's not often that we have a guest that Jackie told me before the show, we did the pre-show, and she goes, I just got these things about money, and so we probably need to do more shows about money, Jackie.
Well, I said when I started to read your book, I was like, I was kind of triggered a lot because I have these ingrained limiting beliefs about money. And so hopefully you can do a little therapeutic help for me today, Joel.
Joel, that's a great way to start, because you are a prosperity coach and you probably run into that quite a bit, don't you?
Quite a bit. And I'd be more than happy to come back and do more therapeutic work. Some people have called me the money doctor, so I'll take that term as well. So yes, I shift people's beliefs around money, and it really is amazing, because I started this Money Miracles membership a year ago, and people come in to the membership because they need help with their mindset around money. They were taught, we can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. That's too expensive. At least that's what I was taught growing up. And I think most people are, and that's not serving you. If you continue to have those words from your parents going through your head every time you see something that's maybe not a priority right now for you, you hear the words, that's too expensive, then that's not serving you. Because I tell my clients there's $450 trillion of net worth on this earth, $450 trillion of net worth on this earth, okay? There's a lot of abundance. In fact, not even talking about money, thinking about air and sunlight and the energy that's generated from the sun, which could propel the earth for many, many years, right? So there's a huge amount of abundance on the earth. Just look at the grass, look at the trees. And yet we say, oh, we can't have enough of that. That's too expensive. Oh, I'm not worthy. All these things that maybe parents or friends or, peers, cousins, family members said to you growing up, that's still resonating in your head. And in fact, I just got off a call with my Money Miracles members, and one of the women actually said to me, I was doing well. She just joined the membership a few weeks ago. And she said, I was doing well the first couple of weeks, but what do you do when that fear comes in and you want something and then oh my God, you start going down this negative train, negative thought? Well, I use my good friend and mindset expert, Andy Dooley's powerful reframe. Stop, cancel, clear, get the fear out of here. Or you could use the other F word if you want to, but.
I taught myself to use Control Alt Delete. So I would sit there and hit Control Alt Delete in my mind twice, and then just give me a couple seconds.
Reboot. Yeah, for those old enough to know that's how you rebooted your computer. Control Alt Delete twice.
How many times a day did you have to do that? Because the buffers got full, right? The buffers got too full, so you had to hit Control Alt Delete, restart, and then you could continue on. Joel, let's go off in the weeds just for a minute, because while you were speaking, something came to my mind, and that is, and I want to know your thoughts on this. So if we gathered up all the money in the world and redistributed it equally between all, you hear it said that the money would still end up back where it was. Are you a believer in that?
Yes, ultimately, in some period of time, maybe it's 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, but ultimately I do, because the people who have the mindset of, the millionaire mindset will figure out ways to generate the abundance. And the people who are telling themselves, I can't afford that, that's too expensive. Think about lottery winners. Now, why is it that more than 95% of lottery winners have less money 5 years after they won the lottery than the day before they won the lottery? And the reason is, and I actually talk about this we actually go through a few pages on this in the 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use, my second book, because it's important to understand to have the mindset first before you learn the processes. In that book, I actually talk about my 5-step proprietary stock screen. I also give a 7-step real estate screen that you can use to invest in real estate. But I actually start each of those chapters by saying, what do you believe? Do you believe that real estate can make you rich? If you don't read this chapter, because it doesn't matter the process I give you. What'll happen is you may use the process to lose money. Or one guy came to me who he won my book a couple of years ago when I was presenting to, a group online, and he won the book and he wrote me a letter back saying the stock market's rigged. I would never put $1 in the stock market. And it makes the second point makes sense, because it makes sense not to put any money in the stock market because he believes it's rigged and he'll lose his money there. So first, you got to change the mindset to say, no, the stock market's not rigged. I became famously rich in 2008 and 9 because of it. And I know a lot of friends and hedge fund managers who have made a ton of money in the stock market. It's not rigged. They've analyzed the companies, they've done the homework, and they figured out which companies are going to be worth more and a lot more in a few years.
Right.
So what's your mindset and what's your belief? And so, yes, I do, to answer your question, believe that redistribution of wealth will happen over a period of time because of the millionaire mindset and the example from the lottery winners. The lottery winners don't have the millionaire mindset. So what happens is they get the money and they don't realize that to be financially free, for most people, it's $1 million. That's generating 6 to 9% income, over a year. That's 60 to 90,000 a year. That's, say 5 to 7,000 a month. That's usually most people's expenses around there.
Yeah.
But what happens is the lottery winner will win $1 million and then start spending it. And
holes in the bucket.
Right. And so there's no retention and there's no investment of the $1 million. And so that's generally what happens. So, yeah.
You learned this lesson early. So we'll get a little bit of your backstory, because when you were in your late teens, I think the story goes, you went to your dad and you wanted to go to a school and he said he couldn't afford that school. And you said, oh yeah, watch me. And you took off and took care of that.
Exactly. Yeah. So my dad said to me, probably when I was 13, 14, 15, we can't afford a private college. And I said, well, what would it take? And he said, well, if you can figure out a way to save enough money for 1 year's worth of tuition. So think about that in today's dollars. The average relatively good private school would be, $60,000, $70,000. Imagine a kid in 4 or 5 years saving $60,000, $70,000. That's effectively what I did. And so I did that. And so he said, okay, you can go to University of Rochester, a private school. You don't have to go to a SUNY, State University of New York school.
Well, that taught you the value and the let's say it like this, the value of money and how it flows.
Yes. And you can, and when you believe, I talk about belief and desire, which is really important in anything you want to create in your life. Like this woman, I was just talking to her in the Money Miracles membership, and she said, well, I want to manifest this, but I don't know if I really believe it, but I really desire it. I said, well, what's the number from 1 to 10 where 1 is massive doubt and 10 is absolute faith that you're going to create it, you're going to manifest it? And she said, oh, it's probably a 3. So I said, well, why don't we start with something that you can believe in that is like a 7, 8, 9, or 10. So if you want to manifest $1 billion, a billion, not a million, $1 billion, what's your belief level? If it's a 1, why don't you start with 10,000 first? Because if your belief is a 10 there, it's taking baby steps on the way, right? So you really, really, really want to manifest $1 billion. That's your desire. It's a 10, but you have no belief. It's not happening. Throw it away. Forget about it. Until you can manifest small amounts on the way. And you probably read, Todd, in my book and Jackie, about my cotton ball story. So I started with manifesting, and I read the book The Secret in 2007, and it talked about this guy who manifested this feather. And so I don't know why, but the first thing that popped into my head was cotton balls. That was a baby step. That's a baby step on the way to manifesting millions.
So tell us the story. I don't remember reading that story. Maybe it was one that I skipped over. So tell us the story of the cotton balls.
So yeah, so right after I read The Secret, and it talked about this guy who day after day he thought about this feather with all these etchings and carvings in it. And one day, lo and behold, he looked down on the street he was walking and he saw this feather. And so I then thought about cotton balls. So
Okay.
pure white cotton balls. Okay.
Yeah.
So every morning in February of 2008, I woke up, I thought about cotton balls. Every night before I went to sleep, I thought about cotton balls. It got warm enough here in New York in April of 2008 when I started going jogging with my daughters. Actually, I was jogging. They were in a double jogging stroller. They were
Along for the ride.
They were 2 and 4 at the time. And I was pushing them. I go around a track around my house a couple of times. I get to this park. I'd run up the hill. We run to the playground. And then I'd get them out of the double jogging stroller. I'd push them down the slide. I'd push them on the swings. And then they'd get back into the double jogging stroller and I'd jog home. So it was May 31st, 2008. I get them in the double jogging stroller. We go to the track. I run around the track a couple of times. We go to the park. I run up the hill. I'm getting them. We get to the playground. I'm getting them out of the double jogging stroller. And I looked and I saw all over the park, not one, not two, dozens and dozens of cotton balls all over the park. I'm like, Lauren, pick up the cotton ball. Morgan, pick up the cotton balls. Oh my God, oh my God. And for years after that, I had this cotton balls on my desk at, while I was a hedge fund manager and after, to remind me that you can manifest anything when you have belief and desire. And I had belief and desire.
Now, how long did it take for you to start that process to see the cotton balls? It wasn't like the next week, right?
So I started thinking about cotton balls in February of 2008, and I manifested them May 31st, 2008. So it was about 3 months. And I talk about not attaching. And we talked a little bit about this in the green room, Todd. So, and most of my life, I would white knuckle it, right? Like I'm managing my hedge fund and I've lost money 6 days in a row. I gotta make money today. My investor is gonna get so upset. I gotta make money. And then I lose money, right? And then I'd be like, okay, you're a good investor. You don't have to move stuff around. You don't have to take action. Just let go. It's gonna you gotta make money. And then I'd start making money again. And so it's a really important lesson to learn that you don't have to so in April of 2008, to go back to the story, I kind of let go. I said, if it happens, it happens. If not, it's okay. But not like, I got it, I'm attaching, I gotta find the cotton balls. And then a few weeks later, not one, not two, dozens and dozens of cotton balls. So I teach my clients not to attach to the result. Okay, you want to manifest some amount of money, but don't I gotta have it. That kind of energy is more about resistance than allowance.
That's a lack mindset. And what you're doing is just creating more of what you don't have because you're focused on it so much. So detach.
Yeah. What you focus on, you get, right? So if you're focused on lack, you're focused on,
and we do that. We do that so subconsciously, right, Joel? I mean, because we're so intent on creating and manifesting, and we get so attached to the outcome, yet subconsciously we're creating the outcome we're getting of not having it.
Right. And I think we're taught throughout our lives about taking action. I'm not saying don't take action, but it's almost like you feel like you have to take massive action. And I'll say take inspired action. You
got to put yourself in the flow, right? That's interesting. You brought up The Secret, because that's the one thing The Secret doesn't talk about, create the vision but you got to take action to be able to put yourself in the flow. So a lot of people took the secret and said, oh, this doesn't work. I sat on the couch all weekend and nothing happened.
Yeah, so you should want to take inspired action, right? So I don't know any billionaires, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, and on and on. They didn't just sit at home all day and meditate and visualize. They got out into the world and took some action, but they took the inspired action. And Mike Dooley, I'm an Infinite Possibilities trainer, certified to teach Mike Dooley's best-selling book, Infinite Possibilities. That is a core chapter of Infinite Possibilities, taking action. Now, he talks about beliefs and he talks about visualizing and so on, but he is really big on taking action. And it's inspired action, not the white-knuckled action that most people think of when they hear
clue us in a little bit on what is exactly inspired action? What's your definition for that?
It's when you feel inspired to do something. Like, it's not like I have to do it, but it's almost like you're getting a download, like you're getting an idea, like, oh, I should do this. Like a few years ago, when I was doing one-on-one coaching, I shut down my hedge fund in 2016, and I started kind of coaching one-off, and I was doing one-on-one coaching 2016, 2017, and then 2018, kind of towards the end of 18 or early 19, I wrote my first book, Mindful Money Management. And then I had this idea, and it was just like inspired action. You should do a group course. You should start teaching groups as opposed to teaching one-on-one. So I started this group course in late 2019. And then later that year, I started thinking, or maybe it was 2020, I started thinking, it'd probably be good to have some type of membership service where people can get access to me, and I create videos and create really good content where they can go from wherever they are towards financial freedom as quickly as possible and create all that content. And so that was an inspired idea. Like, where did it come from? It wasn't like, I gotta do this. It was like, okay, so the universe, source energy, whatever, so you're connected with your higher self, and you're like, oh, you have some idea and so, for example, like my books, the last book, Infinite Love and Money, I wrote with Molly Singh, and the amount of hours we actually spent writing wasn't a lot. I'd say both my first and second book might have taken 90 days to write. Some will say they took 50 years to write because they were my career and my experience, but the writing itself took maybe 90 days. And I will say, because it was inspired action, it was like, it just flowed from me. And it wasn't like, oh, I got to sit down and write today. I wanted to, because I wanted to teach the 9 money rules to people. I wanted to get that information out. And so it just flowed through me. And it wasn't like, I gotta write today. I gotta write today. If I had some feeling about to continue on with one of the rules, yeah, right. But if I didn't feel inspired to, I wouldn't. And people talk about writer's block. I don't even know what that is. It's just like,
well, Joel, you mentioned rules, and I think at least for me, what triggers people like me and myself is that there's a certain to-do list that we've been taught about making money, and usually on the top of that list is work really hard, right? And then I look around at people, and I'm working really hard, and I know someone else is working hard, but their income is triple what my income is. And so I think, well, how much harder do I have to work to get what that person has? But what you're saying, though, is it's not necessarily the hard work that's important, but the same amount of hard work that we're each putting into results in something different. So there's something more than just working hard. I think I've learned a little bit lately that because everything has an energy, including money, there is a certain energy of money, right? And so when you want to manifest money, you have to tap into that energy vibration of money. Am I right or am I crazy?
No,
Um,
you're absolutely right. In fact, I'm very glad you quoted from my book, which I said, "Money is energy." That's a quote from the 9 Money Rules millionaires use. Money
Right.
is energy. So thank you for quoting from my book. I completely
Awesome.
agree with you.
But
And
everything is energy. So that's why you say if you're thinking about lack or I need, that's a different type of energy. So that's what you're going to draw in.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
so I say don't work hard to become financially free. Now that it's a little controversial. And I say that it's actually in my signature on my email, don't work hard and become financially free, because like I was saying earlier, when you're in the flow, it's not work, right? It's fun. It's you want to do this, right? When I was working at my hedge fund, I went in every other weekend. I'm divorced, so I had my kids every other weekend. But if I didn't have my kids, I would go into Manhattan. Why? Because I wanted to. I didn't have to. I wanted to go in on the weekends and find that next great stock idea. It wasn't work to me. It was fun. In fact, in 1992, 1993, 1994, in the early 90s, I was doing this as a hobby. And I said to myself, if I could align my hobby and my career, how much fun would that be? And there I am, it's 2013, 14. I'm commuting into Manhattan to quote unquote, what people would say is work. I was doing analysis to try to find that next great stock idea so I could make money for my investors and myself. And it was like, it's inspired action. It's fun. So that's why I say don't work hard and become financially free. It's have fun and become financially free,
But
right?
you've
Make it a
always had
game.
that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just say make it a game.
Yeah. I was going
Or
to say
fun.
you've always had that aptitude toward money though, right? Because you started working when you were a young boy to earn college earn college money. Um, so but you haven't always taught the limiting belief idea. You learned about the typical money rules first before you realize some of those rules are just rules. They're not actually things that are going to give us wealth. So when did you make that shift, if you will, from just simply abiding by the money rules and then you said the secret was that the time when you started thinking, oh, okay, it's that secret.
Yeah,
And I
maybe,
know.
I don't know. I think most of my life I kind of felt that there was something else besides like the physical reality of the processes. So my book is split up into 2 parts, right? The quote unquote, woo-woo part or spiritual part, the first 6 rules, and then the last 3, which are process-oriented rules, like, is credit good or bad, DIY investing, and don't diversify. So those are more process-oriented rules. So, but just going back to your first point, saying that I've always had this aptitude, I will tell you, everyone has an aptitude. And so like, I'm no better or, to compare other people, like we're all born to thrive. We came here to thrive. And then things happen. And then we start getting these beliefs and say, oh, I can't do this. In fact, I was out the other night, Sunday night, this guy said, I was talking to my financial advisor, and before we started the conversation, I had to say to him, look, I'm really green. I don't really understand this stuff. And I'm like, dude, like he's like, talk to me like I'm a kindergartner. I'm like, that's not helpful. Like, stop saying that to yourself. You have amazing intuition. You could be making money just as well as he can. Right. So like those kinds of and this is 90+% of the world is thinking this way. Oh, I wasn't taught, I don't have an MBA in finance. I'm not a hedge fund manager. I can't do what Joel does. It's not true. Right. We all have the ability. We all have the aptitude. Jackie, you have the aptitude to make millions in various types of asset classes that, once you're passionate about it, once you're interested in it, it'll work.
That's a key part, right, Joel, is the passion. Right?
Yeah, it's so
what
important.
you're doing or don't do it.
Right. And I actually talk about this in the book as well. It's like, I'm very unusual because like rule number 9 is don't diversify. no financial planner advisor is going to tell you to don't diversify. They'll tell you diversify as much as you can. Put 1,000 eggs in that basket. Don't put like a handful or just a few. And I'll tell you, well, that's dumbing down your returns, right? And so if you're passionate and interested in just a few stocks, and I know as a former hedge fund manager, my portfolio had to have a diversified portfolio. I had to have 60, 70, 80, 100 stocks. But I'll tell you the top 5 made 120% of my return. My top ideas made me 120% of the return, and the rest lost me 20%. But you're required to diversify. So as an individual, you don't have to do that. And so, but yet we give our money to a financial planner advisor. They put it into 5 different mutual funds, and they're 5,000 stocks. And then the market goes down 25% and you lose 25%. Well, I didn't lose 25% this year. And I didn't diversify.
Year, Joel. It's been kind of a crazy year.
Right. Well, I'm just saying that, I mean, a lot of people I know who I've taught and so on, they're not diversified and they didn't lose 25%.
Yeah.
And so, but we're taught to diversify. And so you don't want to take chance, you don't want to take risk. I think taking the risk is being diversified. So anyway, the point being that everyone has passion and interest in something. It might be stocks, it might be a particular industry in the stock market that you're more interested in, or you may be interested in technology or energy companies. You know, for me, it's financial companies, and that's where I'm expert. I feel much comfortable in. I'm not going to start investing in technology companies, but because my interest and passion lies in financial companies. But if it's real estate or whatever the type of asset is that excites you, interests you, like I want to learn about housing, I want to invest in houses, like that interests you, then go there. Like you don't need to be in the stock market to become financially free.
Fascinating. So let's talk about some of those other ones. We've already talked about a couple. Don't diversify and intuition. That's one of them. So
yes.
Of those 9, well, let me ask this question first. Are all millionaires using these 9?
Yeah, so it's interesting because it's a provocative title. First of all, I was gonna name the book The Unconventional Money Rules, but I talk about this in the introduction, right? I'm not a rules guy. So then to write a book called The 9 Money Rules is kind of a non sequitur. It's like, what are you doing? But it's provocative. And so that's the point, is like, I don't believe there needs to be rules. What resonates with you? And does it work? And I say this in my membership all the time. I say, look, I have 9 different manifesting techniques. Do not do all of them. Don't do all of them. Like, don't make it work. It's the same thing with the rules. Don't make it work. Like, rule number 5 is gratitude. And that's a powerful one, to be grateful for what you have now. I do a gratitude journal, and I write 5 things I'm grateful for every morning and every night. And I've only been doing this for 10 years, but it's a powerful 10 years. So
there's great power in gratitude.
Right. So if that one resonates with you, do it. But I'm not saying do all 9. You don't have to do all 9 to be a millionaire. And there are many millionaires and billionaires who are not doing all 9 or even 7. Right. So, but, giving is another one that's really powerful. Rule number 6. The title of that chapter is, if I give my money away, I have less money. How does that work?
So drill down on that one just a little bit, because that's
so this is where in that chapter I say money is energy, right? And so whatever you put out, you get. So, and it also triggers a shift in your subconscious mind by giving. So I tell I've had clients who I'm barely making it. I'm paycheck to paycheck. I said, give. And what are you talking about? I can't even pay my right. And I'm like, it doesn't, $5. There's most people who I'm coaching have first world problems, not third world problems,
Mm.
right? They're not like, oh my God, what am I going to eat today? Do I have enough water? You know, so there are people around the world much worse off than you are. You can find $1 or $5 to give, you know, so start with, even if it's a tiny amount, what you're shifting subconsciously that I have some money to spare and share, because you're thinking I don't, but you do.
Mhm.
Right. And so
that creates a flow, right, Joel? I mean,
that creates the flow. And
Pay
so
me.
that, you know, putting the money out there, I say, so Sir John Templeton, some of you may have heard of Sir John Templeton. Some say he's the best investor of all time. Sir John started the Templeton funds with a few $1,000s, and he sold Templeton funds to the Franklin funds in the 1990s for $1 billion.
Mm.
He said he hadn't met anybody who didn't give at least 10% of his earnings each year over a 10-year period to charities, who didn't have massively more wealth at the end of the 10 years than at the beginning.
yeah, it's that flow. Pay me so I can pay them so they can pay you, right? It's that, and so a lot of people will hoard money and just lock it up, right? And there's no flow and it doesn't grow.
Right. Right. And that's exactly the point, you know, so in the Infinite Love and Money, we created 7 money personality types. The acronym is Sugar Pi for the 7 money personality types. So S is for the splurgers, U is for the unconscious ones, G is for the greedy ones, A is for the accumulators, right? So you were just talking about kind of accumulators, but there's even more intense than that. There's the protectionists, the P in Pi, and they're hoarded. Like the protectionists are hoarding the money. And you may think, oh, like putting them under the mattress was a great idea in 2022, right? But that's really bad because you're hoarding and you're not putting it into the flow, and it can't come back to you. Now, I is for investor, E is for egotist. So anyway, there's provocative names, and you can do a survey in that book to figure out which one you are. It's pretty cool.
Jackie will never forget that because she's the queen of acronyms. Everybody knows.
Right. Sugar pie.
She's always coming up with acronyms, so she won't forget that one.
That's because it helps me remember things.
I get it. But every great speech I've heard her deliver had an acronym in it. So what else are we missing, Joel? What else?
So the first one, yeah, we've kind of touched on this already, but the number one rule is when you believe.
Yeah.
And so like we've touched on it a lot, but how do you shift those limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs? So here's a couple of specific ways you can do that. So one we've kind of talked about with Andy Dooley's powerful reframe: stop, cancel, clear, get the fear out of here, or the other F word. But another way you can do that is by acting as if. So you're feeling some worry, fear about money. What about like you have some dreams and desires? You have this dream to travel to Egypt. You have a dream to have your dream blue convertible Maserati. Or you have a dream, to find your partner. So what could you do now, acting as if you already have your partner or your dream car, your dream destination? So you want to go to Egypt. I did this in 2021, in beginning of 2021. I wanted to go to Egypt. Now I have a vision board with the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid on it already. And I have my screensaver with the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid on it already. So you can do that, right? Vision boards and screensavers helpful. But the other thing I did was I started researching. I went online and to see how much the flights were. And do I have enough frequent flyer miles to go business class? And how many more frequent flyer miles would I need? And then I see, is there any way I can fly from a New York area airport where I live to Cairo direct? No, I couldn't, not with my frequent flyer miles. Okay, so I got to fly through Paris. Okay, is there a layover there? Like, do I really want a layover? To which flights? Okay, let's check out the hotels. Oh my God, hotels are really inexpensive in Egypt. like the dollar's really strong, and you can get amazing hotels like $25 US. That's
Wow.
cool. Oh, what are, maybe, what do okay, I want to go up and down the Nile. Is it possible to do, a ride on a boat ride on the Nile? How long, like, can you do it? Or, how many days would that, so you do all this research, you're getting into the mindset of I'm already there, right? And then, what about the tours? What excursions would I take? Where would I go? What temples would I go to? Can I get to the Sphinx? And then a friend of mine tells me about this trip that she went on, and her mentor took her, and with 16 other people, and she's doing it again in January of 2022. And these are the dates, and this is the tour, and this is the place you're going to see. And I get to touch the Sphinx and go inside the Great Pyramid of Giza in January
Sounds
2022.
like the trip I took in 2007. It did exactly the same.
So anyway, the point being is acting as if is really powerful, and you can do it without spending money. I didn't spend any money on the acting as if to have that manifestation happen, right? So you can test drive your dream car, get dressed up, a little bit nicer if you're going to test drive the Ferrari or the Maserati, but you can do that. They're not going to check your, income to do a test drive. You can go into, like, how I did this years ago in Greenwich, Connecticut. There are houses that are worth, 25 million and up. Go to a broker and check them out. Act as if, take pictures, and then make that your vision board.
There you go.
That doesn't cost any money,
Yeah.
right? So you can do this stuff acting as if.
Very cool. What
It's
else?
a great way to change those beliefs from, oh, I can't afford it, that's too expensive, to see the pictures, to go in and actually feel the car, to actually see the house, see the landscape, see the jacuzzis and the swimming pool, the 4-car garage. It's just like this person's no better or worse than I am. He's a human being. He's got red and white blood cells just like I do. There's no difference.
So
And they
Joel,
own that house.
Let's talk a little bit about you. You have some programs coming up. You have a course that you're developing. The landing page isn't up yet, but tell us about that. Entice us.
Yeah, so this is basically based on the 9 Money Rules millionaires use. So it's an interactive course based on the book. So there are exercises for each chapter, including acting as if, by the way. So that was a little bit of a tease.
Yeah.
And so with each rule, there's a specific exercise to do to create that type of rule for you. Now, I'm not saying, again, do all of them, but it's good to be exposed to all of them to see how they can help you become the millionaire plus that you want to be. So this course is only $47.
Wow.
So it's one time, and you'll get, so it's like you're getting all the benefit of almost like I'm teaching you. So you get the exercises, do the exercises. And then by the way, I give everyone 30 minutes free of prosperity coaching. So I'd recommend people do the course and then reach out to me with any questions from the course for the 30 minutes. I think that alone can create massive abundance in your life. And if you and completely money back guarantee, if you can create $50 from this course, let me know. I'll give you your money back.
And that will be up on your website. And Jackie and I have a link to your website on today's show page at www.lifemasteryradio.net.
Yeah, so my website is Salaurmor, SALAURMOR. You see it in the back of me. So yeah, as Jackie said, my company's named after my daughters. I don't know if you can see that, Lauren and Morgan.
Nice.
Salaurmor. Like it.
Oh my goodness, my friends, we only have about 5 minutes left. This hour just blew by. Joel, I hope you'll come back on the show, because I think there's a heck of a lot more to talk about.
There is. I'd love to go into manifesting techniques specifically, because, and talk about visualizing, because visualizing, we talked about a little bit,
That was
but
my
there
next
is
question to you.
there's a specific way to visualize, and people aren't doing it right. If they were, they already be financially free.
Give us a quick crash course on visualization.
So here's one really important thing that people aren't doing, is they're not doing it consistently. 5 minutes a day, that's all you need. And the other important thing they're not doing is thinking beyond the event. So you want to manifest your dream house. That house with the 10 bedrooms, 6 baths, indoor, outdoor, swimming pool with the 4 jacuzzis and 4-car garage and the tennis courts and the bowling alley and the movie theater and 22 acres of land. So why not think about, in your visualization, having the housewarming party? That's what you visualize. Of 250 of your closest friends, and you're giving the speech, and they are so grateful that you're there because you've helped them to become financially free, right? And they're so grateful for you, and you're so grateful for them. And it's just such a, a love fest. And you're speaking, you're giving the speech. So that's what you visualize beyond the event. You already have the home. It's already there. You've already purchased it, but now it's beyond the event, and you're doing the housewarming party.
Wow. Yeah, that's much more powerful than just thinking, oh, well, one day I'm going to have a house in the Caribbean, but actually seeing yourself there, sitting on the beach, whatever. And you mentioned vision boards. So is there, besides a vision board and in visualizing your head, is there any other way that makes it easy to really think about these things? Or are there words that we say to ourselves as we're thinking about these things?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I actually have set time for visualization and set time for affirmation separately. So, and the other thing I would say, though, is when you're visualizing and you get the monkey mind like I do, so you're 3 minutes in to your 5 minutes and you start thinking about your day and how you're going to be on Life Mastery Radio, and you're so excited and you're like, this is going to be an awesome day. But wait, I'm supposed to be visualizing, right? So it's okay to say, you know what, I'm going to do this tomorrow. Give yourself a break. It's not like white knuckling again. It's like everything in flow. And if your monkey mind, starts really going, you just say, okay, I'm done. I'll get to this tomorrow.
Okay.
Jackie, I got to say, book him, Jackie. Get him back on the show. We got to have him back, because I think we could have done a 2-hour show today, I think, but we'll Jackie, book him again.
Okay.
Jackie, that's any takeaways? I'm sitting here just blown away watching you and just thinking, wow, this woman has really grown over the last couple of years. The questions that you're asking are just like, who is this lady?
Yeah, I know. I've learned a lot. We've had some wonderful guests, right? All of our guests have been wonderful, but I've learned a lot from each and every one of them. Joel is no exception.
And just your own journey too. I wouldn't say it's just the show. I mean, you take off and check things out and research them, and it's just really cool.
Go to retreats and programs, and yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I'm taking away a lot, and I appreciate, Joel, the wisdom that you provide, because I know there's a lot of people like me that was just, money is just this, and this. And if you can't do that, and that, you're not going to be wealthy. But you're saying there's so much more to that. So I appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for showing up as you. That's pretty cool. All of the links that we talked about today are on today's show page at www.lifemasteryradio.net. Check out Jackie's book, check out my book, sign up for the newsletter. And lastly, please make it a great day, because it is all about choice. That's all the time we have for today. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to Life Mastery Radio. Join Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery through stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Visit their website, www.lifemasteryradio.com. Join their mailing list and be notified about upcoming guests. That's lifemasteryradio.com.